Hey YouTube, Josh here, and I wanted to share my thoughts on the Samurai Jack season finale, which really is the series finale that we knew was coming, but this Saturday at 11 p.m. it finally came to pass, and I had the pleasure of watching it on TV, not just, watching it after the fact. And oh boy, I mean, by now I know a lot of people probably still haven't seen it, so I will forewarn you, this will contain spoilers. Oh, I'm not gonna make it a very lengthy review because I have a lot to do today. But like I will say this, I will say it right now from the get go. This is a spoiler review. Do not watch this unless you have already watched the series finale. Watch season 5 as a whole, really, but the last episode especially. Although by now people are probably already posting about it incessantly, so I would hurry up and see it if I were you, because yeah, pretty soon internet tends to spoil things. So unless you have under a rock, sooner or later you're gonna see someone post about it. But I loved that finale, and I know some people feel a lot of things towards like it was rushed, or there's a plot hole or two, involving time travel. And you know what? To me, I said it before, I'll say it again. Anything that involves time travel is bound to have more or less what you would call a plot hole in it or an inconsistency, because time travel just makes that. And since no one knows how time travel actually works, all we do is we can work off theories. No one can really know how it would work. We can only guess. We can give really good guesses about it, and scientists do actually study this, but no one's ever actually done it before. So I'm not gonna focus on time travel plot holes or anything like that, because I honestly don't care, and I don't expect them to do it perfectly, because time travel rules pretty much change by movie or by show whenever it's featured. The rules always vary. I mean, they're so. I mean, in that sense, I don't really care about that. What I care about was the execution of the show itself. Especially since it was moving direction, most people kind of knew already by showing previous episodes. The gathering of all the people Samurai Jack has helped, and that they're probably going to take place in the final battle, which definitely came to fruition. Everyone kind of knew that was going to happen because that was obvious, and it was obvious. It was still great to see all those characters come back for the final showdown. I will say this: I did wish it was longer than 10 episodes, but we knew from the get go it was going to be 10 episodes, and whether or not that's what the original creators wanted, or maybe Adult Swim said we can only do 10 episodes. That's the budget you're given. I don't know. We may never know, but the point of the matter is, to me, I think the execution of it was great. They set it all up in a compact 10 episodes, and even though it may feel a little rushed, at the end of the day, I still feel it was done very well. And that's the thing that surprised me most when watching episode 10. They fit a lot in there, but it didn't feel rushed to me. It felt perfect. Like, okay, wow, they're setting it up because sure, it would be nice to have, a two-parter episode or something like that, or maybe it was even a three-parter or something like that, like when the show first started. But it felt right to me, and that's the thing I got to give them credit for. It didn't feel like, okay, what about all the plot lines? I think they tied together all really well in a very dramatic showdown that tugged on my emotions in many ways, many sad scenes. So I think the execution of it was done very well, even with the limited runtime, and it was freaking awesome. Like I said, seeing all the characters come together for that final battle, and then there was just a lot of emotion they were able to put in there, and you felt sorry for everyone at the end of the day. That's what we want to move towards the ending, but not mostly the runtime. I feel like they did a great job with runtime with what they had. I mean, some people will probably be left wanting more, as everybody always does, but the good thing is the show actually knew that sometimes things have to end, and sometimes it's good to end things, end it on a high note, unlike some things which never seem to end. Not to claim about those things either, but when things end, there is a sense of completeness you get to it. There's some shows I don't think you'll ever watch because I'm just like, dude, it's just gonna keep going and going and going. And not to say that if you can keep going, don't. Because I mean, as a creator myself, I think it's cool that if you have an idea to keep expanding upon it, take it down different ideas, it's cool. But sometimes when you feel a show is at its end, it's good to just do it. And they did that here, and it was done excellently well. We've been watching this mission for me for over a decade. When I first started watching the show when I was in like elementary school. But let's get down to the meat of it, the ending. And like I said, I'm not going to do a synopsis because I assume if you're watching this video, you've probably already seen the ending. So what did I think of the ending specifically involving Ashi and Samurai Jack? Heartbreaking would be the word. I mean, God, and because I was really, really, really hoping that they'd get a chance to be together, especially since Samurai Jack. It was already sad enough that he already kind of left behind everyone else in the past. Between the Scotsman and all the other people that he had saved, who came back to help him at the end. The samurai, all those people that he met and they influenced him as well. Because he changed the timeline, that those people may or may not even exist anymore, and they're, you know, because they never met him. So if they do exist, may not be the same way, especially because they didn't grow up in a world of Aku. So that in itself is something very sad. And then the whole thing with Ash, we were all, I think, everyone, even if you play the whole meta, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Like that's cool and all, but a part of you was hoping that they would get to stay together because, I mean, that was probably one of the people he fought the hardest for. I mean, he laid down his sword at the end of episode 9. He just could not do it. And you felt such a triumph of the will. Don't mind the phrase. That's how I feel about that. Really was a triumph of will over evil right there when he was able to save her from Aku's influence. And she ended up helping him because she had Aku's powers. That was pretty great. I didn't see that coming. I thought some of the time portal would still happen, but no, it turns out Aku, by abusing Ashi, literally created his own demise, which is pretty ironic. And even that in itself is kind of sad. Look on Aku's face. Oh no! Like, yeah, dude, you kind of messed up there. She had your powers, but he got cocky, as villains usually do, and at that point, there's nothing he could do about it. But anyways, I got off track there. But the point of the matter is, I found it gut wrenching because he finally had done he finally had succeeded in his mission, and it was all sewn up pretty much. But the creators had to take one last stab at our hearts, and watching her fade away, that was just wow. And I will comment on this because a lot of people are saying he should have stayed in the future and just lived his life then. And for a second there, for a while there, I was thinking to myself, well, yeah, he could do that. That would make a lot of sense since he's kind of a legend there. And then if he beat Aku then and there, it would have been thousands of years of struggling and suffering. Many people would have died, but he would have saved that world. Now he could rule over it. Not really rule. I don't know if you take the rule of a king, but they'd probably be either way be revered as one, as a great savior. But Samurai Jack being the warrior that he was by code, and code was to do the original mission, which is said there, right? And from the beginning of the show till the end, got to get back to the past. Why? Because there's still his whole family and nation pretty much died at the hands of Aku. They discovered that before in older episodes. You see his homeland just covered in its ruins, basically. His people were decimated by Aku, including his parents. So him not going back into the past, it's a very difficult decision for him. Probably fought many times. Creators probably did too, but ultimately it was the right thing to do, really, because by staying in the future, he would have forsaken all those who died in the conflict. But it still creates a very strong moral quandary because now many people may not exist. Like Ashi herself fell victim to that. She no longer exists because of Aku. and because Haku got erased from the future, so a lot of people may not exist, or but like I said before, maybe fundamentally different than the way they were. But ultimately, he went back. He saved the people who made him what he was, his family. He finished that mission that his father had failed to do. And being reunited with his family is probably a great feeling too, despite the many people he met there. I bet there's not many people who would sacrifice their family. So yeah, it really tugs at your heartstrings. It makes you think, like, man, he could have stayed in the past. He could have stayed in the future. It's People probably be debating that to the end of time, but I think he made the right decision. It just turns out to be a very sad one. And then Ashi's more or less death. I mean, they just had to take it away from us. And when she finally faded away, the show had dark moments, and for a second there, I saw him wandering along that dark forest. I really did think that maybe this is it. Maybe he's gonna find a time portal, go back to her. Maybe he's gonna, off himself, maybe because that's what he had wanted for a long time, especially during season 5. But they ended it in just the perfect way. He sees the ladybug, which was basically a symbol of Ashi's memory, which even if that future maybe fundamentally change, at least he has the lessons from there, and it's still pretty sad. But I guess it's like the ultimate bittersweet ending, really. People use that ending. That's the funny thing about movies and TV series these days. I won't say TV series because I only watch too much TV myself, honestly, but I do feel like movies are always moving into two separate endings, of black and white. Either it's going to be, the white ending, pure, happy, probably end with a ceremony or something like that, or there's a black ending where it's just complete tragedy. You probably feel angry or sad or both at the events and how they unfolded. Honestly speaking, I have not seen a bittersweet ending in a movie in a long time. They're pretty rare when I think about it. Occasionally you see them, but like I said, they're not something you see every single day, and it's more often than not you're going to get the completely tragic ending or the really gleefully happy one. Both of them are not bad in themselves. I'm just saying that you really meet the middle ground, and this to me was a pretty good example of what it means to reach the middle ground. That was to me was the telling moment of that series when he sees Ladybug. You know, he's in a dark forest. His hair is just flowing behind him. He's sad. But you see the smile go on his face, sight of the Ladybug, and then the ending shot that's what really just sold it for me. Okay, this is just. I teared up a little when I watched it, honestly, and I rewatched the ending again and again. I barely got any sleep that night. But an ending shot of him standing over his homeland, and then you see just it was so exactly what they wanted because you see the dark forest and it's completely covered in shadowy clouds, but you do see the rays of sunlight poking through those clouds, bringing light over the forest. But you can still see the darkness around the horizon on around certain forests and hills, and that to me was just perfect. That was the best image they could have done, symbolizing the end. It really sums up what the whole episode was about. Making choices, and you have to live with them, but you don't have to forget. I don't think Samurai Jack will ever forget the people he met, including Ashi, the Scotsman, all those people. And he does have children if he does, I suppose. But he'll tell the people about all the adventures he did. It will become legend, at least in his world. But that ending, the music, the imagery, and seeing him smile after all that tragedy, seeing him smile, find contentment, some level of happiness in it. That was just the perfect ending for me. They didn't do straight up happy because I don't think if they had gone the traditional route of either a tragic ending or a gleefully happy ending, I think it wouldn't have felt right to me. So this ending, even though it's very sad, that's the thing people say. You need sadness in life to know what it means to feel happy, and that the fact that they reached a middle ground with it, it's tragic in a way, but still he finds happiness. There was no better way to end it, really. Of course, I like to envision that there was still a time they could have been together, but that also kept it realistic in the sense that sometimes in life you just cannot get what you want. Sometimes you have to sacrifice things for the greater good. Basically, me think of that message. That same message was kind of in Spider-Man 2 way back when. I know it's an odd reference, but that's what made me think of the most. You know, remember that line from Spider-Man 2, something along the lines of, sometimes to do the right thing, you have to give up the things you want the most. And that's what happened here. To me, I don't really care if I sound like I'm overdoing it. I think Ashi's death was probably one of the saddest things I've ever seen in my life. That was because she was such an interesting character and so awesome. I mean, we got to know her really for the whole series, all 10 episodes. We got to see her transform. She was such a great character in so many ways. That's some of the best lines, some of the best moments. Like, she may have only been here for a season, as opposed to, people like Scotsman who have been around for quite a while. But seeing her go was just a heartbreaking moment. Uh, she'll be sorely missed and one of the greatest characters the show ever produced. And Aku too. I mean, that's one thing I do think about this thing. I think it was definitely one last jab from Aku. Even from the grave or whatever, he took one last thing from Jack. So, but seeing Aku finally get his due was sad in itself. Although you did feel kind of a joy to, like, this guy he's a horrible person, but he had his moments though where just you couldn't help but laugh. Like, this guy's, you like seeing him on screen, but at the end of the day, you knew he has to go. He's done a lot of horrible things to many millions, if not billions, of people probably. And so that's another thing. You look back at it. Going to the past was probably the right thing. I mean, he saved a lot of people from suffering. Because remember, there's Jack saved a lot of people in the future. However, there was, technically speaking, a humongous gap of thousands of years between when he first fought Aku during his original timeline and where he got sent. So that means between that time, his evil went unchallenged for a while. A lot of people probably suffered, died, got enslaved, tons of them that he didn't even get a chance to save. And even in the future, when he finally did get there was a whole lot going on that he couldn't stop. As the season 5 was all about that, sometimes you just cannot win, and that took a toll on him. It turned his simple journey into a 50-year one. So, summing it up, I think the ending was perfect. Sure, you could have gotten a longer one, but I think either way they would have ended it the same way. So to me, it didn't feel jam packed. To me, it was all leading up to this, and we knew it was coming. No one wanted to end, but the fact that it ended on a high note is one of the greatest feats, especially of cartoons from the olden days. A lot of them either went on for too long or they got rebooted in tragically awful ways. I've yet to watch new Powerpuff Girls, but Teen Titans was a prime example. And Teen Titans Go does have its moments of, funny little things. They mention the comics and stuff like that, clever references. But overall, I mean, let's face it, when it comes down to storytelling and art direction, the original is superior in every way, and everyone knows it. So whether or not I completely hate Teen Titans Go, which I've only watched like episode 2, I just don't like it. I'm not gonna say it's terrible. It's good for a different audience, but I mean, come on, comparing the two of them, you know which one's better. Obvious as a performer. So to see a show from my childhood get the ending it deserved, to me, feels great. I know we won't get it for other ones probably, but I mean, it would be nice if other shows like that. You know, the I remember his name. I say butchering it because but the creator is like, he created Up of Girls, Dexter's Laboratory, Symbiotic Titan, another show that did not see an end. Unfortunately, we got one season. Sadly, great show. But it's great to see that one of his creations got the ending it deserved. While other ones, I don't say they faded away, but more or less, like Powerpuff Girls, when it got a reboot. I haven't watched that one either, but I don't really tend to. But it would be great if all of his shows could get something like this, a final ending to their story. So overall, I'm very satisfied with the ending we got. When season 5 comes out on DVD and Blu-ray, I will definitely buy it because that ending shot is just worth it. The whole journey was just fantastic. I'd like to thank the creators for creating such a great, awesome show. that will live on forever. Really, I think people will always cherish this show. It had a distinct style that you didn't see in cartoons, had a distinct look, and had a great, great run. If you haven't seen the ending, well, everyone, like I said, everyone's watching the video has seen it, so watch it again. It's been posted on Adult Swim website, but I need that soundtrack for the ending. The whole thing had a great soundtrack, but that's my thoughts on it. I thought it was a great show, from start to finish, great finale, really sad, but there is light in the darkness. That was the overall story, and I'm very happy for it. That's all, guys.